Hi there, I'm Nathan Agan. Welcome to the Working Actors Journey Rehearsal Room. We started this project almost 5 years ago, figuring out what we could do with all that time during the pandemic and having the time to really deeply explore just one scene over a month has been a great experience for so many people involved. We've done over 40 of these workshops. And as you're probably familiar, if you're checking out this video, we have embarked on trying to understand Shakespeare's Hamlet a little bit better. If this is your first session, yes, we have done all of the scenes leading up to Act 1, Scene 5, and that's what we're going to be exploring over the next few sessions, is Hamlet's encounter, his actual meeting with the ghost. For those unfamiliar, or those, I should say, those familiar with John Barton's Playing Shakespeare series, I definitely see this as kind of a springboard off of that, a big inspiration. But we are unscripted. It's a wonderful way to see the creative process in real time. What you're going to see over these weeks, as I just mentioned, it's not final. It hasn't been planned. So it's people really figuring out what does this mean and what can we do here and different ways to explore the text. And that, as I know Annie and Randy will talk about, is figuring out how do we make this the most playable version we can? Like, let's really figure out how do we do that. This has been a wonderful platform for artists and actors of all generations to work together, and people from various spots across the country. It's really fun to be able to bring people together through this medium. People that haven't worked together for 20 years or may have only known about each other, and now they finally get to collaborate on a project. I do like to think about this as continuing in some form the great theatrical history of apprenticeship, where even if there's actors on this call or actors watching, they get to really see up close how do professionals work on this material. After you've been doing this 20, 30, 40, or 50 years, what questions do you ask? How do you take direction? How do you communicate your ideas? All of that stuff never goes out of style. It's always important. And so finding ways that, to really share with people how that works, I think has been really wonderful. And it's never been a top-down structure. Great ideas come from all corners, and I've loved that part of it. Um, we can also be more conscious to gender and age and race in terms of casting. It's very fluid here because we really just want to understand the text as well as we can. Um, and we will continue posting these sessions on YouTube for free as well as on the podcast. So be sure to subscribe either place or both if you really want. Click for notifications. And you can support the project. There are links below. You can either make a one-time donation or join via Patreon. There are some ad-free versions, other benefits. You can check all that out in the links below. Very quickly, thank you to some of our patrons, Joan, Michelle, Jim, Magdalene, Ebar, Claudia, Cliff, and Jeff. Appreciate you helping us keep some of the administrative lights on. And that's it from me. I'm going to turn it over to the group. Hope you guys have a great time exploring this scene. I'll be listening in and check in with you at the end.
Great.
See you later.
Thanks, Nathan. Well, okay, the moment has arrived. Hamlet's going to meet the ghost. I'm assuming you've all been working and exploring this particular scene, and I'm just going to make a guess that you're all finding that the ghost is one hell of a character and quite complex. I think that actors have spent and spend so much time trying to make him a ghost that a lot of what he says, what he does, and his circumstances somehow get caught up in a kind of Hamlet sound. So what I'd like to do today is to listen to hopefully three different versions of it. I bombarded Randy with information today, but promised him I will not just open the floodgates on it. And it all pertains to questions I've had about the ghost. And I think, and I hope it's not hubris, I may have found something that has been somewhat overlooked. And I do want to share that with all of you. But if we can, let's start with just reading that segment. We're not going to go through up to Horatio and Marcellus' entrance. It'll just be Hamlet, the ghost and Hamlet. And I'm going to ask, hey, Ben, Um, I'm going to ask Jim to do the ghost, and Lee, if you would do Hamlet, I'd appreciate it. And then we're not going to go straight through with all three of them. We will probably examine a little bit in between. But that's where I'd like to start. Everyone who, by the way, who is reading today has had some association with this play. So it's going to be interesting to see how their view changed or what they learned in their performance of it. But we've had people who have performed Hamlet, obviously, performed the Ghost, and people who have studied quite intensely this play. So I'm really looking forward to whatever you bring to it. So whenever you guys are ready.
So Annie, we do the scene from with Hamlet and the ghost's entrance all the way through Hamlet's soliloquy,
Yes.
right?
Yes, Andy, that's
After
right.
the ghost leaves. Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
I misunderstood, but I'll
Oh, what,
that.
did I do something wrong?
No, I think actually a lot of things are starting up here right now. So it's okay. It's all right. Well, you'll decide.
Okay.
All right. So. Where wilt thou lead me? Speak! I'll go no further.
Mark me.
I will.
My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself.
Alas, poor ghost.
Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak. I am bound to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear.
What?
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house. I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotty and combined locks to part, and each particular hair to send on end, like quills upon the fretful porpentine. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, Hamlet, oh, list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love.
Oh, heaven.
Revenge is foul and most unnatural murder.
Murder?
Murder, most foul as in the best it is. But this, most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste me to know it, that with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
I find thee apt, and duller shouldst thou be than the fat weed that rots itself in ease on Lethe wharf, wouldst thou not stir in this. Now, Hamlet, here. It's given out that sleeping in mine orchard, a serpent stung me. So the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know, thou noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle.
Aye, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wit, hath traitorous gifts, oh, wicked wit and gifts that have the power so to seduce. One, to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. Oh, Hamlet, what a falling off was there from me, whose love was of that dignity that it went hand in hand even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. But virtue, as it never will be moved, though lewdness court it in a shape of heaven, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed and prey on garbage. But soft, methinks I scent the morning's air. Brief let me be. Sleeping within mine orchard, my custom always in the afternoon, upon my secure hour thy uncle stole, with juice of cursed Hebanon in a vial, and in the porches of mine ears did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man, that swift as quicksilver it courses through all the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigor it doth posset and curd, like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. So did it mine, and a most instant tetter baked about, most Lazar-like, with vile and loathsome crust all my smooth body. Thus was I, sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown and queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhouselled, disappointed, unannealed, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. Oh, horrible! Oh, horrible! Most horrible! If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge to prick and sting her. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the matin to be near, and gins to pale his uneffectual fire. Adieu, adieu, Hamlet, remember me.
O all you host of heaven, O earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? O fie! Hold my heart, and you my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. Remember thee, I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe. Remember thee, yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past that youth and observation copied there, and thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, yes, by heaven. Oh! Most pernicious woman! Oh, villain! Villain! Smiling, Hamlet, villain! My tables, my tables, meet it is I set it down, that one may smile, and smile, and be a villain. At least I am sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu, adieu. Remember me. I have sworn it.
Great. Everybody come on back. Thank you. Let me first start by thanking you both for giving it your all under the most difficult circumstances, which is Zoom. But you both used your imagination and your personal commitment, and it worked. First of all, let me open it up to the two of you. Is anything you guys want to say first about any of it? Not necessarily, I'm not saying comment on your performance. I'm saying anything that you want to share that has to do with the discovery about this ghost in Hamlet. No?
Yes. I'd like to just step aside just for 1 second to grab a tissue.
Oh, sure, sure.
I don't know, Jim, do you want anything you want to say first?
No.
That was lovely, Jim. Yeah, what I was struck with was how, freaking hard. Well, I don't know if it's hard or not. It's a long time to be receiving information. It just goes on, but it's not tedious. It's just merely a long time. So what I was struck with was just trying to listen. Just trying to hear everything that was coming out of my father, the
Yeah.
ghost, and then see. Well, it wasn't planned out. I was just hearing. What I was struck by were moments where, okay, it just kicked into gear. The dynamic just changed. The realizations, the things that are being revealed are so massive, and coming from that source, it's so gobsmacking, you know, and then finally it gets to toward the end. Here's what you have to do. So that moment really struck me. It was like, oh my God, oh, I have to step up in a very specific way. I don't know how else to say it. It was like I was just taking the ride of that speech, and it's incredible. I mean, it's really incredible any way you look at it.
Yes, it is. And as I was listening to it, and the more I look at it, there is you're right, Lee, there's so much. But I think one must, two things that I think have to be here. I think we have to see Hamlet's relationship with his father more than we have to see this is a ghost and all ghosts have the same nature, or it's an angry ghost, or it's a bad, or any of that. Here's our only opportunity to have a one-on-one with Hamlet and the father, that he has told us how much he respects, how much he loves. And a lot rides on the ghost to show that relationship to the son. I've read a lot that says that, he never sounds like a loving father. But I think you're fooling yourselves if you're thinking that this is some kind of romantic view of fathers and sons. And these people, this is a prince and a king. And they've had a relationship. Hamlet's been away. They have a relationship that has to do with the inheritance of a crown, of a country. So what the ghost needs to impart to his son, to his heir, must be received by Hamlet. This is the ghost's mission. must be received by Hamlet as conceivable. This could be my father. I think it's essential. I can't say more about it because I think if you have a separation between the two, then we all listen to the ghost complaining of what's happened to him. And we fall into the trap of thinking, well, this guy's never getting out of purgatory. You know, but I think as you work through it, he reassures Hamlet that he is his father's spirit. He tells Hamlet, he knows his son. You know, the line about as swift as meditation.
Of love may sweep to my revenge.
I may sweep my. Hamlet's a thinker. Hamlet's not a man of revenge. And what comes quickly to him is thought, is meditation. And he's asking the ghost to reveal who killed him. So with that same energy that he gives to meditation and thought, he can give to revenge. He's asking to be inspired by the ghost to do something he would never, ever dream of doing. So that's always puzzled me, that line. And I think that's why
interesting.
I'm sharing it with you, because a lot of scholars will say, well, there's nothing swift really about meditation. One thinks of Buddhist monks, you know, taking time to go inward, but that's not the point here. The point is Hamlet knows himself, and the point is that Hamlet's father knows him. So when he says, I find thee apt, and duller shouldst thou be, that whole speech, he's warning Hamlet about the complacency and growing fat out of complacency and ending in the river of forgetfulness that this event ever happened. That will lead to remember me. I ask the question to all of you, what does the ghost want from Hamlet? What does he want from Hamlet?
What he asks is for revenge. Correct?
I say it, Lee, I couldn't hear you.
I say, he says revenge his most,
Yes.
following was murder. Yeah.
He wants revenge for the murder. But what does he also say in terms of that revenge? Let me add one little caveat to this, and Randy, be patient with me. There were rules to revenge. It was a sin to revenge, to kill. Thou shalt not kill. But there was an expectation of a son who lost his father to revenge his father's death. So Hamlet's got a slippery slope here, because he's facing somebody who's in purgatory, at least in purgatory, or his own damnation, if he follows through with thou shalt not kill. But if he doesn't, Denmark is condemned to the likes of Claudius forever. And that has to be balanced for Hamlet. All right? So that what the ghost is saying is it must be revenged. Does he tell him how? Does he ever say, kill that bastard, pour poison in his ear, stab him in the throat? He never once reveals how to do it.
But he says what he mustn't do.
What?
But he also says what he mustn't do.
Conditions.
Yes, yeah, and we'll get to that.
Or attack his mother, yeah.
That's exactly right. And he moves on to the mother, doesn't he? I mean, he talks about Hamlet, but let's just stay there for a minute. Revenge is murder. Has to reveal to Hamlet who it is. Now Hamlet says, my prophetic soul. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was, not that I knew he was the killer of my father, but he knew instinctually this man should not be king. Something happened here. He is disturbed by his mother's relationship with Claudius. We got that from his first soliloquy. And the ghost now gives it credence by saying, the serpent that did sing your father's now wears his crown. Okay, Hamlet's in. He's ready to go. So and the ghost says, good, I'm finding you apt to all of it. What does he do
Okay.
next? What does the ghost do next? I think he complains, or he reveals his heart-struck disappointment in the relationship of Gertrude and Claudius. He doesn't talk about Denmark. He doesn't say right at the top of the speech now, save Denmark from the likes of this, protect Denmark. He doesn't mention that. He goes right to Gertrude. What's that about? Anything? And listen, guys, I don't know the answer. I mean, sometimes I sound like, but I'm as full of shit as anybody else. I just get excited about it, and then I kind of want to share it. But we're on an exploration here, and all I want to do is drive you back to the text and see that there's so much you might be overlooking by feeling the obligation that this is the ghost who is asking for revenge, and he's either a good ghost or a bad ghost. He leaves Hamlet in a quandary, and so he's going to need the next 2, 4, 6 months to decide how to act, and so he's going to hold back. It's not that simple. And an Elizabethan audience would have been schooled in purgatory. They would have been schooled from all the revenge plays that they witnessed in Revenge. This is foreign to us because we think Hamlet's father could be a CEO. That's not this play. So as you examine it, you have to have the respect for the people Shakespeare wrote for. And it's not about, oh, well, our audience will never get it. It's understanding it so we can infuse our performance of this with as much of that, rather than, again, just the scariness of a ghost, the delaying of Hamlet, and some big old concept. So that's why I'm asking, take a look at that section with Gertrude.
Is what the ghost...
Is that connected to Revenge?
That's what I never really thought about it before, with what the ghost wanted, never really beyond, but it makes me, I mean, it is all about Gertrude. It just, there, there's the question is what the ghost is asking Hamlet to do good for Hamlet? Is it going to lead to Hamlet's death? And I don't want to get too far afield, but it does make me wonder, is this really about, if I were thinking from the ghost point of view, is this about Gertrude? Is this about, taking Claudius away and having her? I don't know. It just maybe he does seem the most hurt by that. There's not a lot about you need to fix the country. There's a little bit, but it seems like it very much, how could she have left me? But don't touch her, leave her alone. Let it, And I'm not sure that's a nice thing for her or not. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, Ben, because I think you're right. It becomes about Gertrude. But let me put this on the table. Why is this ghost not in heaven? This ghost has demons he's fighting. This ghost is still fighting the things that got him into purgatory in the first place. I think that Shakespeare puts it in purgatory gives us hope that he will at some point inherit God, inherit heaven.
Release.
But what if release? But what if his human, breathing, living being is what's operating there? What if he can't shake what she's done to him? What if he feels that I can't let go of it? How could she have done that? That may be the thing that's perpetuating his continual endurance in purgatory. I guess what I'm offering here is at least to take a look at the humanity of the ghost, and that he's still suffering from the human sins, let's say, transgresses, feelings.
It's not like Claudius killed old Hamlet and then won the hand of Gertrude and then became king. This was a diabolical scheme over time right? That he won her affections, that he seduced, that seduction doesn't, to me, in re-examining it, that's what's surfacing as a possibility to me, is it's like she enabled that by that there was something in action between them before the murder, and that was
I would
some
agree with you,
substance.
Lee, but I would also add to it, oh, Hamlet, what a falling off was there from me,
Yeah.
who loved her, who was true to the
So he
vow.
sensed it, right? He sensed that.
I mean, but that's personal. You know, I'm glad you raised there's always been a question whether this relationship with Claudius takes place after Hamlet, because the play within the play shows that it's after that queen and that play within the
That's
play
right.
is wooed by the player king. I looked at even to the vows I made to her in heaven. Well,
In marriage.
the
In marriage.
marriage vows come from the Book of Commons, 1559, and they end with the same vows we know, till death
Let's do us
do
part.
us part. So if he died and Gertrude then was seduced, she's still sticking to her vow because it's after death. My suggestion is it opens a window to when did this affair happen?
Yeah. Did you transgress and
Yeah.
precipitate this whole opportunity for Claudius?
Yeah.
I'm really stuck by certain wordage that the ghost uses when he begins his long speech, I, that incestuous. It's a real change from what he has the kind of words he has previously chosen. And I'm really struck by, in a short amount of space, incestuous, adulterate, beast, witchcraft, traitors, wicked, shameful lust, seeming virtuous, love, dignity, marriage, wretch, natural, poor, virtue, lewdness, heaven,
Yeah,
angels.
we get it. Keep going.
Yeah, and it ends with
Soft.
garbage. And then, but soft, I think I sent the morning air. And then there's another change. Let me get to the point now.
I agree with you, Larry. And I think that the thing about that is, again, why I suggest to you that the ghost still is tied to earth with personal feelings, one of total disappointment with his wife. I can't even find the word, but those words you're talking about, accusations, wretched, those are not calming words that say this is who he was. They are filled with inflaming points of view.
And
that's
things
all
that one should never speak to their children either. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, right. So I think that
Some of that.
what I'm offering here is just weigh it for a moment, because I keep thinking, why purgatory? Who cares? But you care because you realize what I think Shakespeare's trying to say. We don't know what we think of purgatory. And I read Thomas Aquinas. I was reading all of these different tales, St. Patrick, all these tales of purgatory, and they're all about how horrible purgatory is. But I think what Shakespeare is doing, and why I said that in my email, that puts him above everyone, is he manages to marry the human feelings that this ghost has not shaken in purgatory. So as you're portraying him, to allow yourself to perform him as any other character who would be disenchanted with his hurt.
Betrayed by brother and wife.
Yeah, that's right. Rather than connecting it to some overall idea of what ghosts do and what purgatory is, I think it could be so moving, I'll be honest with you, to see Hamlet have this relationship with his father. Something has to convince Hamlet to at least follow him a little bit. I mean, Hamlet's too smart to just take, to take the anger and run with it. But I think that and the audience too, for the first time, the audience is seeing a ghost that is not screaming revenge. but a ghost that's human. And that's how he holds the mirror up and he says, see yourself in purgatory. See yourself with these feelings. I think it frees the actor tremendously. I think it allows the actor to portray the ghost as the father in that moment that he is, as the king in another moment that he is, as the sinner in another moment. It gives you all the things you were saying earlier, Lee, about the length of it. If it's filled with that ghost going through the different stages of his own human life, I think then you have a scene that the audience is riveted to. And we don't just sit back and wait for Hamlet's hair to stand on, you know, on end. Does that make sense to you? Listen, I don't, I
I was
just,
just going to say that just later on, the ghost even acknowledges that one of the reasons why he may be in purgatory is that he was sent to his account with no reckoning.
yes,
All his imperfections still with him.
yeah, that's right. That's how this thing moves forward.
Which would be common to anyone who was murdered, correct? Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Not to say it's insignificant. I think it is
Right.
significant. Yeah.
But again, I think the battle here is, I guess for me, what I've read from all of these scholars who want to make a decision if this is a good ghost or a bad ghost. And I think Shakespeare is saying, let it go. This is this ghost. And it fits into the story of this prince. So I think that I asked myself questions, number one, with the incredible charge that the ghost is leaving Hamlet with, doesn't the ghost have to convince him that it is his father, the connection to his father? Hamlet has to find something recognizable in him. If you, I mean, unless you want to play it in such a way that you say, no, he doesn't. He doesn't. It's not about that. But I think what I think of theater, I think humanity. I think theater is a place where we see the human condition come to life. I don't think it's about a theoretical, intellectual, here's the overall. I think what's brilliant about it, and this particular playwright, is his ability to create moment to moment human behavior. That's why I think also once you start to make him a little light on the wall, or get rid of the human part of the ghost, I think you're in another story. I truly do. I want to just take a moment to taint thy mind, because there's been arguments that this ghost isn't saying anything that is worthy of heaven. That may be what's worthy of heaven. Taint thy mind, because
Taint not, right? Yeah. Taint not. Yeah.
Taint not, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that, because a lot of people have said, well, I don't know if he said that, he's already tainted his mind. That's not the point. Again, that's not the point. And you'll see that he ends it with, not kill that bastard. He ends it with, remember me. No other charge. He does not say how, he does not say when, he says, remember me. One other thing about that, in order for a soul to get out of purgatory, they have to be remembered in the prayers of those who are alive. I remember as a little girl, I'm really crazy. As a little girl, my grandfather said to me, when I die, pray for me so that I can get out of purgatory. To this day, I pray for my grandfather because I don't know how long that time is. And I am not a practicing Catholic. But that was something you can count on every groundling understanding that it's prayers that ultimately will help those souls. So to be forgotten is worse than anything. That remember me. I want to show you one other thing. Adieu, adieu, remember me. Adieu originally means to God and comes to mean go with God. I leave you in God's hands. Remember me. We do it as if it's just a bye-bye, see ya. It's very important that it comes from that the word God is in that, because we've watched this ghost repel any mention of God. He's out of the room. So I'm hoping I'm at least showing some of the complexity that we're dealing with here. And I hope the magnificence, because I truly believe if we as a company could do any of that on stage, I think our audiences would be riveted to it. And I think it would guide us in the interpretation as we move forward. Anything else, anybody?
I
Michelle, you had your hand up. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm thinking of the remember me, and I'm thinking he also makes a point of the fact that the entire realm of Denmark has been given a false story, so they are not remembering him
Correctly,
the
yeah.
truth.
I agree.
And I think that as a king, that means a lot to him as well. The fact that they just think that he was careless and a serpent bit him.
Yes, I agree with you totally. And I think too, you add to that the couch, the bed of Denmark to be a couch to lust and luxury. Gertrude's way beyond having children. But what that couch is basically a symbol of is the corruption, the accepted corruption of Denmark. So there is an association with this ghost and Hamlet somehow cleansing Denmark. Yeah.
Mm. I was really puzzled by the taint not thy mind, because for me it was one thing for him to say, and the ghost to say, don't take any action, she will be punished enough by her conscience. But to say to Hamlet, don't think ill of her, I just really have a trouble wrapping my mind.
I think there's a
Could be
different
separate things,
different
yeah.
interpretation there,
Oh,
because
okay.
I think what he's talking about is in the pursuit of this revenge, taint not thy mind, not
Oh,
and adds on to it, for your mother leave her
okay.
heaven. You see the difference?
Yeah.
The other thing too is that in these revenge plays of the period, a lot of the avengers would go mad. They would be so totally obsessed with their mission that they themselves became subject to madness. So the father is saying here, don't allow your obsession with this event to ruin your mind, because we're going to need somebody who is capable, sane, somebody who can do this revenge. I think, and so I always puzzled with it, because I thought, I don't know how that he's not tainting his mind already. But I think it's in the present. That's why I say this thing is layered, layered, layered. And if you allow yourself to play it moment to moment and really listen to a lot of those adjectives, whose lightest tale, we always say whose lightest tale, but that's not it. Whose lightest tale will harrow up your soul. That description itself is terrifying. Everyone in that audience would say, please don't ever let me go to even purgatory. But the ghost has got to, in that moment, because he's the only witness we have to purgatory, let us have some taste of the horrors that he is facing. So.
Oh, and another thing is, I think even today we have a sense that there is good vengeance and bad vengeance. In other words, there's vengeance that is taken
Justified.
for not unrighteous reasons, as opposed to righteous ones where it's measured, it's deserved, it doesn't go farther than it has to. And I get the sense that the ghost is in a way talking about that he does not want Hamlet to as you said, be consumed and become evil himself. That because there, I think even today, I think that has meaning to us.
Yeah.
That's right. And I think you start to understand that this isn't a man who can't make up his mind. This is a man who's faced with a dilemma that would be very, very hard to act upon.
Yeah.
That's why I think, and I love the way you did it, Lee, was when you erased all trivial fond recs, all sayings, all trivial, all impressions. He's emptying all that out and only going to hold on to remember me because he understands the task ahead would require that. Hamlet's life, social life, Hamlet's life is over.
Yeah,
His,
it's really an interstitial moment now. I mean, a true one where he's clearing the decks, and when those guys come in, it's a new ball game. You know, it's really we've jumped a level.
Yeah.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
I just wanted to say something about the very beginning that I think really strikes me. It is so packed with everything. Hamlet's first line, question mark, semicolon, statement, and then you have two very short lines. And I think that's a very good opportunity for the two actors to take a little time to like really look through the other's eyes into their soul. And that hopefully sets up what happens.
Yeah, now you're staging it. That's right. This is why I say under these circumstances, you can't help but want to get it up on its feet. And look at there are actors who chose to have Hamlet avert his eyes, not have his eyes to the audience, put all the focus on the ghost. If you read the Masks of Hamlet, it's just peppered with the different choices that have been made. But you're right, Larry. I do think it's number one, it's the first time Hamlet's hearing the ghost, but it's the first time we're hearing the ghost. So that calls for its moment, you know? And in that Dr. Flatter book, he introduced me to the idea of most Hamlets I've seen say, mark me, I will. It jumps right into it. But what Dr. Flatter suggests is, mark me, I will. So that the moment Hamlet helps us see how big that moment is. If Hamlet jumps right in, it's not a very big moment at all. He's saying, okay, Mark, I will. It becomes right away the idea of sweeping to my revenge. But I think Shakespeare has given the steps to it. And then it starts.
And reasons for it. The last things that we hear Marcellus and Horatio say, they're like, hey, what if it does this, leads you into the sea? Or what if it leads you here? What? Hey, think about this, wake up. So then when Hamlet, instead of Hamlet, like bold adventurer chasing him, stop to speak, he's on dicey ground. He doesn't disrespect those guys. It's like, yeah, you're right, and I'm still going.
Yep.
Caught between two worlds all the time.
Yeah.
I agree. It's wonderful. Can we just now move on to the second one?
Can I ask one quick question?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick question, which I'd never considered, and I think you're the one to ask. Is killing Claudius just understood to be the only revenge that the ghost is at? I mean, does Hamlet have another option? I realize that the ghost never says flat out, you must murder him in kind. Is that just understood though? Or is tricking Claudius, prosecuting Claudius, having him driven mad, or, I mean, is there anything else on the table?
Here's the thing. As prince, Hamlet is obligated, if he knows that his father has been murdered, he's obligated to revenge his death. It's not even, you don't even have to talk son, even that's in the, it's there, but that's his obligation to the country. All right. As a Christian, he has to weigh out what will happen to his soul if he does, because the rules that govern us morally, religiously, are different. So the only thing on the table is the ghost knows it's Hamlet's obligation. I think it's why the ghost is so specific in the description of what happens in that garden. because that description of that poisoning is proof for Hamlet. That Hamlet holds that proof. He's going to have a damnable time convincing anyone of it, and that will happen in the play as well. But I think the other thing is he know, oh, cursed spite, that ever I were born to set it right. That is the thing that's on the table.
But implied by revenge is killing Claudius, correct? The way you see it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Right, that's right.
Mhm.
So when he dies, and we won't jump too far, but when he dies, the rest is silent. Of course it is, because we're going to see him go through all of the things that one would jeopardize one's soul and one's place in heaven. So that's part of our mission. Let's find those things out. Okay? Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Liz, would you
Okay.
do the ghost, please?
Yes,
And
please.
Michelle, would you do Hamlet? I'd like to, I'm trying to get now what would happen in an all, I'm not saying play it female, play it any way you want, but I do want to hear two female voices go at it. And and both of you, because I do appreciate your acting.
Where wilt thou lead me? Speak. I'll go no further.
Mark me.
I will.
My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself.
Alas, poor ghost.
Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak. I am bound to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear.
What?
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast in fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house, I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul like stars start from their spheres, thy knotty and combined locks to part, and each particular hair to stand on end like quills upon the fretful Perpentine. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, Hamlet. Oh, list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love.
Oh, heaven.
Revenge his foul and most unnatural murder.
Murder?
Murder most foul, as in the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste, haste me to know it, that with wings as swift as meditation, or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
I find thee apt, and duller shalt thou be than the fat weed that roots itself in ease on Lethe wharf, wouldst thou not stir in this. Now, Hamlet, hear. It's given out that sleeping in mine orchard, a serpent stung me. So the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know, thou noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle.
Aye, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wits hath traitorous gifts, O wicked wit and gifts that have the power so to seduce. One to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. Oh, Hamlet, what a falling off was there from me, whose love was of that dignity that it went hand in hand, even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. But virtue, as it never will be moved, though lewdness caught it in the shape of heaven, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed and prey on garbage. But soft, methinks I scent the morning air, brief let me be. Sleeping within mine orchard, my custom always in the afternoon, upon my secure hour, thy uncle stole with juice of cursed Hebanon in a vial, and in the porches of mine ears did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man, that swift as quicksilver it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigour it doth posset and curd, like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. So did it mine. And a most instant tetter, baked about most laser-like, with vile and loathsome crust, all my smooth body. Thus was I, sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown and queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhouselled, disappointed, unannealed, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. Oh, horrible, oh, horrible, most horrible! If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge, to prick and sting her. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the matin to be near, and gins to pale his ineffectual fire. Adieu, adieu, Hamlet. Remember me.
Oh, all you host of heaven, oh, earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? Oh, fie. Hold my heart, and you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear thee me stiffly up. Remember thee. I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, remember thee. Yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past, that youth and observation copied there. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, yes, by heaven. Oh, most pernicious woman! Oh, oh, villain, villain, smiling, damned villain! My tables, my tables. Meet it is, I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu, adieu. Remember me, I have sworn.
Nice job, ladies. Nice job. You brought a whole new level to it. And I think what I'm particularly pleased about is that you featured the play. I think Nathan is right. It's not about male or female, it's just featuring the play. And I thought both of you had achieved that. I want to point out a few things that you reminded me of as you were doing it. And I think Larry had said this earlier too, the very beginning, speak, I'll go no further. Hamlet is still in the mode of commanding spirits to do. This is Wittenberg that is still with him. Stop. I'm not going any further. So there's a firmness there. All right. And then the ghost speaks, I will. When Hamlet says, and I'm sharing with you stuff that I've read as well, and I started to weigh it out myself. When Hamlet says, speak, I'm bound to hear, there's some thought that even here he's saying, speak, I'm bound to hear it. All you have to do is put it out there, rather than saying, I'm committed to hear it. Just another option. I mean, but I thought to myself, if we let this play unfold, if we let the scene unfold, that once the ghost says murder, now Hamlet's on a whole new, Hamlet's trajectory has now changed. But in the beginning, it's still filled with Hamlet dealing with this figure as an unknown ghost, not quite his father, if that makes sense, but something to weigh out in the performing of it. This is what I mean. It's all very tricky because it's all moment to moment. And, look, we're talking about something that if it lasts 3 seconds on stage, but it fills you. It helps show us the circumstances and can show us the way the scene moves forward. The other thing I just want to remind everybody, leave her to heaven. And to her sin may be implying that she's not guilty in the murder. Because if murder is the only thing on the table and she participated in that murder, she too would be subject to Hamlet taking revenge against her. But the fact that the ghost says, leave her to heaven, opens a possible door.
Yeah.
She had nothing to do with the murder. The other thing, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, is the description is the very thing that Hamlet is going to use in the play within the play. And since he can't just run around Denmark saying, hey, I saw my father's ghost and my father's ghost said, here is how he was killed, what he comes up with is, if I can reenact the event in front of the guilty person. The belief was theater was so powerful that if you saw something on stage that struck you, you would jump out of your seat and say, I'm guilty.
He says that. He actually says that. He says, I've heard the guilty men in yeah.
Right. So, but that's why I say to whoever's playing the ghost, that description is not just about how horrible Claudius is. It's very important for Hamlet, because that's the description he's going to use when we get to the play within the play. That's the only way he's going to capture the guilt of Claudius. He can't tell anybody. Nobody's going to believe him. They see that he's in this great deep melancholy. They've seen the resentment he has against Claudius in that other scene that we did. So he's up against it. One other thing. When Hamlet, when the ghost talks about duller than the fat weed that rots itself in ease, look how we left Hamlet before Horatio and Marcellus came in. Break my heart, for I must hold my tongue. He's on the brink of doing nothing. He's taken this path now. It breaks my heart, but I can't do anything about it. And the ghost is reminding him that if that's the choice you make, if you make a choice to just sit and forget, nothing will change. Then Denmark will be as rotten as it is right now. all connected. This is freaking brilliant playwright. I mean, 50 years of it, and now I'm discovering, I sound stupid saying it, but beyond the beyond in how brilliant he is.
I was just reading the advice from Laertes to Ophelia about Hamlet, and now what you just said jacked up one of the things he says to her, or that metaphor about blasting in the bud type of stuff. Don't blow the potential. That's such a tragedy to lose the potential of your youth and your future.
Yes.
And Hamlet's in the same stuck place where the potential of this prince is stifled, tamped down, blasted in the bud in a way.
Yes.
So we get to see him transcend that.
Yeah.
One thing that struck me is how this scene connects, at least the way I decided to play it when I saw it, was how it connects to the first scene. Because in the first I'm not the first scene, the second scene with the court all kind of basically making Hamlet feel like he's sort of this crazy outsider.
Yeah.
And in fact, other than the possible thing about Horatio, it's a little lukewarm. Yeah, your mother's the mother's marriage really did fall pretty closely after your father's death. This is the first time that Hamlet is being told by someone, something, that his suspicions are right. And so for me, it was, oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle. I was thinking, this is what he needs to hear. I was right.
Yes. Yep. It's a wake up. It definitely is a wake up. You're reminding me of the other thing that the ghost talks about in his description of his death. Foul, strange, and unnatural. Foul, it always is. Murder is a foul thing. Strange, the court has been abused by the circumstances of this death. Unnatural, my own brother killed me. So
And
they
the means is so shall we say, unmanly according to the old honor code. Do you know what I mean? It's so cowardly.
Poison is a very cowardly way to kill somebody.
And yet poison is one of the accepted revenge methods in
Okay.
Varus plays. But this is not, again, it's all so much more. Shakespeare takes a revenge tragedy and turns it into a masterpiece. I think that's what's happening here. So audiences go in with an expectation to see a ghost come screaming out of the grave in a shrouding sheet, and they see a ghost in armor. They expect a ghost to come back, and if all of the thoughts about purgatory was if you wanted to work your way out, you must say in the name of God. You must say wonderful things. You have to ask forgiveness of your negative feelings. You have the opposite of so much of what the ghost does. So the audience has an expectation that the ghost is not fulfilling. Wait a minute, I have to move in on that. And Shakespeare's managed, I think, to have them put aside this sort of book acceptance of what purgatory is and live it out with the ghost. Actually live it out. There is no, by the way, I looked and looked and looked. There is no demand that you cannot tell the secrets of your prison house. In fact, Thomas Aquinas felt that you should, because that would make people fearful of committing sin. So it's another little question mark that's put in there with the ghost. We leave that ghost with questions, but I guess I don't think it's just the simple question of good ghost, bad ghost. I think it's, wow, I wonder who this is and what, it keeps me wanting to see the play so that everybody doesn't take out their scissor and cut it, but that I want to see the next thing. I want to keep moving on. Not, I get it, sit back, I get it, this is a such and such ghost, Hamlet can't make up his mind, I get it. What do we have to sit there for 3 hours for? But if you do it moment to moment, then the audience is thinking, I don't know, I don't recognize this. Or how would I, the next question, how would I feel if I was Hamlet? I mean, Michelle and Lee and as we move forward, that's sometimes overlooked, that section. But both of you, I thought, brought to it a kind of, all you hosts of heaven, a response to, did I just witness not just to jump in and follow, but the time needed to take in, and even Hamlet's question, and what else? Shall I couple hell? That's a dilemma. Now, that can either mean, shall I join hell to the first two things I said, or it means, shall I join in hell in following out this revenge? Because remember, the devil could disguise himself to do things that looked angelic or to make you convinced that what he's asking is benevolent. So Hamlet also, and he will say that later, the spirit I've seen may be the devil, and the devil has power to do this. Well, that's the other thing. The audience too will say, damn, I don't know. He seems, is it possible that Hamlet should believe him? Or, you know what I mean? So everybody's ready to go on the journey now. Watch how Hamlet deals with what he has been given.
I also felt a certain poignancy in the end of the ghost when he leaves. I felt almost like there was an unburdening, that he was becoming closer to being able to go to heaven because he had been able to unburden himself of the secret. But of course, also that also means that Hamlet, it's a passing of the torch. Hamlet now has an incredibly serious responsibility. So this, and I think that I don't think that it. My instinct is that Hamlet would not just automatically embrace this. It is a terrifying and daunting prospect.
I agree with you. This reminded me too, Liz, this was something that you did and Jim did it also. You both recognize this moment of, but brief, the recognition of, I have to leave this moment of what a falling off was there and all of this putting forth Gertrude. And it sounded from both of you, I have to get to the thing that's most important. I've sidetracked it with my own emotional response to what's happened. But that transition, I think, is so important that one wonders what else the ghost would have indulged completely in Gertrude and forgotten. And again, like father, like son. I mean, the more we see these father and son, that Hamlet's terrified of getting too in. That's what he loves about Horatio, that Horatio can keep a kind of calm view, negative, positive. But Hamlet knows in himself he can be overly passionate and respond to something. And so,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
but let me just finish and say that goes back to what I said earlier. The more you can strive to find a father and son relationship. Now, I'm not saying that, he's a chip off the old block. That's not my point. Is more about the more that happens, the more I think Hamlet will be drawn into doing something about it. But the more it's a specter that's somehow far, or just general specter, then Hamlet has a different dilemma to deal with. But Hamlet believes this, it is an honest ghost, that let me tell you. Honest, he believes this ghost. So something pulls him in, and even to the point that he's willing to get rid of any other thought. So this is not a ghost that, again, leaves Hamlet with the fear of being the devil. He's convinced him on some level. And I think as actors, if you play it as father and son, put the emphasis more on that than you do on Ghost and Prince, or Famous Star, that you'll be, I think then you'll start to really give us something in the scene that is really quite wonderful. Go ahead, Lee, sorry.
No, that's fine. Sorry for interrupting. I feel like what you're saying is a great lead into the next attack on it. I'm fixating a little bit on this Gertrude thing and the timing of those events with Claudius, that wicked wit, and gifts that have the power so to seduce. He won the will of my queen. It's not like my widow. He won the will of my queen. I'm just teasing out the idea of that having occurred prior to the murder, not saying that she was in any way complicit in the murder, but that she felt that something could have transpired. And if that were the case, the information that old Hamlet gives his son right now is, and Hamlet, let me just backtrack, after in Oh That This Too Solid Flesh Would Melt, he talks about her in the most romantic terms, you know. She would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown. So he's got such a perfect rosy view of her. And what he says about her is so far on the other end of the spectrum
Yes.
that it just really amps up every ingredient.
I want to add to that, what you're saying is seeming virtuous queen.
Yes.
Go back to even that scene. Seems, madam?
Yes,
I
that's
know
right.
not seems.
So this is where father and son connect.
Yes, and that you get from the ghost isn't saying she's a fraud. The ghost is saying if she were virtuous, this never would happen. Virtue cannot be seduced. So she must be seeming virtuous because she fell prey to it. And that's what's
If
so.
your chore is to tell your son that your son's mother had an affair with your uncle and that person murdered you, that's a tall order, and it can be done.
The other thing that goes hand in, oh, I hope I haven't forgotten. Oh, maybe I have. But I think that is a very important observation. What he says of Gertrude. Oh, here's what I was going to say. If you're doing a production of Hamlet, I beg you to at least examine not making Claudius a handsome man. What we hear about Claudius from Hamlet and what we hear about the ghost is with wit, wicked wit and gifts, whose gifts were poor.
Natural gifts.
Yeah. Natural gifts were poor to those of mine. And Hamlet says, no more like me to Hercules, you know. There's a description. If the words are going to mean anything, we have to follow through. We can't just come to the conclusion that, oh yeah, but that's just what Shakespeare well, he didn't mean that. He means it. So, and the same thing with smile and be a villain. Where are those opportunities in that second scene that Claudius smiles? Where now the direction is being plucked out of the play. What does Claudius look like? How does Gertrude behave with Claudius? Randy pointed out the other day to him in the play where look how cheerful my mother looks and my father.
Oh, yeah.
And so now is that cheerfulness that she's feeling in the play with him, even though she knows her son is being accused of being mad? What is that in Gertrude? How does she behave with Claudius in that first scene? Now we're into the acting of it. And I think that the clues are there, but now what's wonderful about acting is that you pluck them out and you question and think, oh, I'd like a shot. I'd like to do my Gertrude again. I'll tell you, because I hated my Gertrude when I look back on it. I thought she was. I was trying to make her a good woman, and she's much more complex than that. So, at any rate, Anything else that anybody's observed, wants to say? Let me just check the time here. Oh, good. Are we ready for our third?
Yes.
All right, Randall.
All right.
And Ben, if you will.
Where wilt thou lead me?
Speak, I'll go no further.
Mark me.
I will.
My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself.
Alas, poor ghost.
Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak. I am bound to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear.
What?
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fast and fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But that I am forbid to tell the secrets of my prison house, I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotty and combined locks to part, and each particular hair to stand an end like quills upon the fretful porpentine. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, Hamlet. Oh, list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love.
Oh, heaven.
Revenge his foul and most unnatural murder.
Murder.
Murder. Most foul as in the best it is, but this, most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste. Haste me to know it, that with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
I find thee apt, and duller shouldst thou be than the fat weed that rots itself in ease on Lethe wharf, wouldst thou not stir in this. Now, Hamlet, hear. It's given out that sleeping in mine orchard, a serpent stung me. So the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know thou, noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul, mine uncle.
Aye, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wits, hath traitorous gifts. Oh, wicked wit and gifts that have the power so to seduce. One to his shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. Oh, Hamlet, what a falling off was there from me, whose love was of that dignity that it went hand in hand, even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. But virtue, as it never will be moved, though lewdness court it in the shape of heaven, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed and prey on garbage. But soft, methinks I scent the morning's air, brief let me be. Sleeping within mine orchard, my custom always in the afternoon, Upon my secure hour thy uncle stole with juice of cursed Hebanon in a vial, and in the porches of mine ears did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man, that swift as quicksilver it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigour it doth posset and curd, like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood. So did it mine, in a most instant tetter baked about, most lazar-like, with vile and loathsome crust, all my smooth body. Thus was I, sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, and queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhoused, disappointed, unannealed, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. Oh, horrible! Oh, horrible! Most horrible! If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge, to prick and sting her. Fare thee well at once. The glowworm shows the matin to be near, and gins to pale his uneffectual fire. Adieu. Adieu, Hamlet. Remember me.
Oh, all you hosts of heaven, O earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? O fie, hold my heart, and you my sinews grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. Remember thee? Aye, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, remember thee? Yea, from the table of my memory I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past, that youth and observation copied there, and thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, yes, by heaven. Oh, most pernicious woman. Oh, villain, villain, smiling, damned villain. My tables, meet it is I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu. Adieu. Remember me. I have sworn't.
Everybody can come on board. We open on Thursday.
No.
Listen, what I love about it is this progression that everybody learned from everything, and there's bits and pieces of every Ghost and Hamlet that preceded that culminated in this.
Yeah.
That's how important it is to be a team. That's how important it is to learn from each other. That's how important it is to what I said earlier about each one of you having done Hamlet, studied Hamlet, loved Hamlet. You hold, don't ever let go of that. Don't ever let go of that because you think something else is going to put butts in seats. Don't ever let hold of it because you think an audience is just not up to it. You hold something audiences need, and we need it right now. The theater is in more need right now than ever, but not if we're going to play around with it. Then it can be just anything. You are special. You hold answers to things yet dreamed of, but you have to move forward with it. You have to accept it and stand by it. Thank you, all of you. Anybody that has any kind of question or response or anything, we have a few moments. Yeah, we have a half hour.
Yeah, I wanted to throw this onto the floor.
Yeah.
When does the ghost find out that it was his brother that just poisoned him? When the poison gets poured in his ear, does he just not? When does he know that it's his brother? Does he see his brother? Do they lock eyes just before the old king dies? Does Claudius carry the look of his brother? Or does old Hamlet merely see his brother leaving the space, just the back of his brother?
Randy, I think
Because,
what
because
we're
it's going to
really,
play in the play within a play. However, Hamlet stages it, does the ghost rise up on one arm and point at his brother? You got some options that could play. Also, too, I think old Hamlet cannot rest in peace because of the betrayal of both his brother and his wife. His brother successfully sexually seduces Gertrude. Old Hamlet says so, and won to his shameful lust, the will. And that he can't. The murder is one thing, but the sexual betrayal, I think, let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. That's it. Not my murder.
And cuckoldry, something that Shakespeare
Yes.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm curious about how the ghost knows it's his brother. Does he discover that as he's being poisoned, as he's dying?
If you set it up in a way that it does, I mean, that you allow the audience the mirror access to it, the play within the play really
Yeah.
mirror the events, and you just kind of agree that they do as a company. You could really load that moment in a way that sort of adds something underneath.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
something that gets lost sometimes in the play is that there is no Claudius without Gertrude. Gertrude's line is the line that goes through Denmark. So her being seduced and agreeing, this is that one, I think I told you very early on, the imperial jointress. She is the one who makes this happen. Claudius would not have even been considered. It doesn't go through the Hamlet line. This is source material. So I understand that most of the audience may not know it, but I think if we could play it in such a way where it's clear that she's the imperial jointress to this throne, in some way, I don't know the answer to that. And if we can at least get it in our own heads, that I think that also would help with understanding why this cannot go on. She is the one who is forcing that bed, to be corrupted because of her action in accepting Claudius. It's not just Claudius who's going to become, if it's not Hamlet, it'll be Claudius. That's not the situation. I think the ghost makes it clear that it is Gertrude. Gertrude is blamed for the corruption, not the murder. Anybody else?
I just want to kind of go back to what Randy was saying about when he was being poisoned, did he see his brother? My belief is that he does. He's sleeping and he describes the poison and how quickly it acts, moving like quicksilver throughout the body. And I think because of the punctuation, droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood, colon, so did it mine. I think that's maybe in his last moment of alert wakefulness, old Hamlet sees his brother. And
this is where speculation occurs during rehearsal, where we try different things. And
right. And I don't think he's seen the back of his brother. I think he's seen his brother's face, because Claudius may have stayed there to see if the poison was actually going to work.
Yeah.
And it's all possible, but I think
it's speculation
where Hamlet that's the only place that we can reenact that moment. It's going to sit in our minds, if not. I mean, point of view about it. And I tend to agree with you. I think he saw it. What I was struck with too was the idea that this poison works in such a way that there's no returning. It's instant.
Yeah.
So whatever if he sees his brother even approach, he will not live long enough to say anything about it. It's done. So I think that's another moment of what did happen in that moment.
Another question that arises is that the betrayal of Claudius seducing Gertrude must have happened over a little period of time. Was old Hamlet, did he become aware of what his brother was doing just before his brother was forced to poison him? Like old Hamlet was getting too close to the truth of what was going on. Do you know what I mean?
We have to look at Claudius's prayer.
You don't.
Mine own ambition and my queen, he says.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But gifts, one to a shameful lust, the will, wicked wit and gifts, traitorous gifts.
Yep. Now, when we see the play, remember the player queen is played by a young boy.
That's right.
Can you show in that portrayal the player king being an older man?
Yeah.
Is the older brother to Claudius, certainly, so that you can see a picture of this younger woman feeling somewhat such. She says in that play, I fear you. I'm afraid that you're going to die.
Yeah.
And he says, no, don't be fearful. So maybe that's where, again, Randy, we get the glimpse of the differentiation in age that made her able to be seduced with gifts if she's younger somehow.
Yeah.
But it's all.
But I'm just wondering if these little events occurred while Hamlet was at Wittenberg. So what the ghost is telling his son is stuff that was occurring while he was away, including the poisoning, but the little stuff that led up to the poisoning. And what was this? Did he have it out with Gertrude? Were words said?
I don't think so. I think he would have told Hamlet. I think all we can go by is what he would say, to Hamlet. The thing too is that I wish you would all just take a little time to read the source material, only because it's a wonderful novel of what Shakespeare, and Shakespeare knew it, based this on. And so there are certain things I think that he was thinking of, and he added in the play within the play. But in the Saxo Grammaticus and Bella Forest, the ghost is killed right in front of everyone by his brother. His brother is jealous because Gertrude's father has given the inheritance to her and an inheritance and the kingship to who would be old Hamlet.
Yeah.
So you knowing that what the Gertrude in the Bell of Forest did have an affair before the death, and also the Claudius figure accused the old king of abusing Gertrude, and she never said anything to the contrary. So he uses that as an excuse to kill the king. So I'm just saying, in terms of imagination, in terms of what we're doing right now, and what was that like? What could that be like? I think to know that Shakespeare knew that story, and that's where he got his Hamlet. He adds a ghost to it. There is no ghost in the Bell of Forest. There is,
and it's a secret. It's a secret murder.
It's where
poisoning. It's a secret murder, not a public murder.
In Hamlet, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I told Randy the other day that I was looking up, the word Hamlet means fool. Comes from the name Amleth, and the Amleth in the Bell of Forest pretends to be mad. He believes the only way you can live in an evil world is to convince people you're crazy. And so he does things that he could never have gotten away with if they believed he was sane. So I think Shakespeare's taken a little bit of that also and try to infuse that in some of these scenes with Hamlet, making choices that make him see, whether it's a scene with Polonius, whether it's a scene even with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, he'll have to say to them, you think I'm mad, but here's the truth. Anything like that. I think he says to Horatio, I must be idle. And so he does take on that antic disposition. That's another thing. That antic, we'll get to that, but the antic does not mean mad. It means strange. I may be taking on a curious behavior. It doesn't say I'm going to pretend to be a crazy man from here forward. So that's another element. But I think all the questions you're asking, Randy, I think hopefully if we do it well, an audience would ask. Because I think we should be surprised when we get to the closet scene and Gertrude says murder. After Hamlet, it says kill a king, good mother, and marry with his brothers. Kill a king, she says, ? So all of that, we shouldn't, put the cap on that too early, but we should leave the curiosity. Remember, I told you, more than any other play, the question mark is used in this play. That says something to me. So the questions are as important as the facts. So the audience can, like Randy, like Larry, like any of us, ask questions along the way. Did he see the brother? Did she have an affair? That kind of thing. And they're not going to have 4 weeks to look at every scene. So it's up to us to give them as much of the story as we can give them. But I do believe that our work, and I'm looking forward, the last session of this segment, and we have to determine if we're going to add one because of my drama. I want to hear the first act. I want to hear the whole thing put together before we say goodbye to this act. And so we're going to work our way there. And I know schedules are all over the place now. So, but I think we've learned so much and explored so much from each scene. And now some of you, I think Michelle was pointing out, going back to that second scene where people are feeling such and such about Hamlet, or how the men first met the ghost. Lee texted me, I don't have the definition in front of me, Lee, but bestilled almost to jelly with the act of fear. When he sent it to me, and I thought, that's such a wonderful metaphor for how terrifying all of this should be. It should never be a kind of thought process. The men seeing this, whether you believe in ghosts or not, seeing these men react to this ghost, seeing Hamlet, which, by the way, Ben, I thought you did a beautiful job. Seeing these men react to this ghost is what will bring the fullness of how terrifying this all is. It'd be wonderful to terrify an audience without fancy lights and, Mylar sheets and all of that. But if actors could terrify them, ooh, I'd like it. So, at any rate, if no one else has anything to say, I've obviously said too much. But thank you. I thought the work today was wonderful from all of you. And I think now we're learning a little bit more about how to use Zoom and saying, Zoom be damned, we're going to give it our all. And I think that's how we'll have to proceed. Nathan, spare me.
I think that's a great lesson. If we learn nothing else, Zoom be damned. Let's just proceed with the work. No, this is great. And what I want to highlight just a couple of things. I love that this work really challenges us to let go of any assumptions we have about how we think the scenes go and or how the characters are, because there's so many little things that I think it's so easy to have skipped over or to overlook or just assume what's going on. And I love the moments talking about just the word adieu and just the layers of meaning behind that, and of course the backstory of what may have happened during the murder. Like all of this is great, and it's just, as Randy has said, we're still planting seeds, but I think we're starting to see them kind of come up, sprout a little bit, because this is the first time we're getting some confirmation of what's the real story, what's really going on, or at least the story that Hamlet is the story that's being presented to Hamlet, and that we as an audience are going to assume is accurate. But of course, as you had mentioned, Annie, there's all these question marks. Is the ghost to be believed? How much do we follow this? So it's great. It's really, really exciting. And to echo Annie's comments, yeah, I really loved all the different versions of the scenes. And I'll kind of build off something I said and then Annie said. It's not that it doesn't matter who reads the parts. I mean, that we love that it can be a little more fluid. But of course, every actor is going to bring something different and going to illuminate something just because of their natural personality or style. And so I think that's also very exciting, because we're getting different flavors and sides of these characters just by having all of you read the part. So it's just really wonderful. So yeah, anyone else want to share any observations or thoughts
I
on
just
this
wanted
scene?
to
Michelle, yeah.
point out that in this week's New York Review of Books, there's an essay called "Why Hamlet is My Favorite Piece of Writing."
Oh, what is it from?
The New York Times Review of Books.
Okay, I'll look
And
it
it
up.
explores some of the bases for how the story came about and was changed and why it speaks to us.
Wow, that's great. It's great.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Well, if there's nothing else, we will reconvene next week. We'll keep digging in. Thank you all so much for your time and talents and efforts, and we'll see you all back next week in the rehearsal room.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See y'all.